Hey guys, welcome to Juicy Tea, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Am I the a-hole for buying my daughter lingerie? Posted by Shoddy Solution 7990. I had my daughter when I was just 16. After she was born, I couldn't see her for the first 2 years. My then girlfriend's parents were really religious and didn't want me to have anything to do with their granddaughter. When I was finally allowed to see her, my ex had already found someone else. After I finished high school, I went to study abroad for a few years. I only saw my daughter 2 to 3 times a year. I moved back to my home country 3 years ago, and since then, my ex has agreed to let our daughter spend 1 weekend per month with me. For the past few years, I've been giving my daughter money for Christmas, but this year, she told me she didn't want money. I asked my ex for suggestions regarding the present, and she told me to just get her the clothes she wants. So, 2 weeks before Christmas, I messaged my daughter and asked her what clothes she wanted. She sent me a link to her wish list and told me to just pick something from it. There weren't that many clothes, so I just ordered everything on a list. This year, my ex invited me to spend Christmas at their house since her husband was going away to visit his family. When it came time to open presents, my daughter was very happy that I ordered everything she wanted. She tried on a few things, but the rest she said she was going to try on later. I went home, then at 10 p.m, I got an angry call from my ex saying that I was stupid and irresponsible for buying our daughter lingerie. I explained to her that it was on the list our daughter sent to me. We argued for a bit about this and then she hung up on me. Afterwards, I messaged my daughter and I told her that I didn't know I wasn't allowed to order lingerie for her. But she told me that her mum was just overreacting and that she loved the clothes I'd gotten her. It's been a while since Christmas, but my ex is still angry at me. But since then, my daughter's been messaging me almost every day, and she said she can't wait to spend the upcoming weekend at mine. So, am I the a-hole here? I honestly don't know what to think. In case it's important, my daughter is 15. Me and my ex are both 31. We're from Europe. Parents should be buying their kids underwear, and lingerie is just fancy underwear. It's not like he picked the lingerie out for her. That would be creepy. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my sister-in-law after she kept insulting my husband? Posted by Said What I Said. I have a sister-in-law, Allison, who is married to my brother, Harvey. I'll be honest, I don't like Allison. She's the most negative, bitter person I've ever had to spend more than an hour with. She has a negative opinion about everything, but notably, my husband. Most of the time, I just brush it off, but we're all at my parents' house for Christmas, and her comments have been constant. Example 1. She hates that me and my husband refer to him looking after our daughter as babysitting. Unpopular opinion nowadays, but I don't mind it. We actually both use the term for when one of us wants to do a recreational activity and the other has our daughter. I say, he's at golf, so I'm babysitting. And he'll say, she's going to dinner, so I'm babysitting. However, Allison's only upset when my husband says it. Example 2. She needles him by asking pointed questions that she thinks any mother would know, and then gets smug when he doesn't know the answer. Example 3. Every time I do anything with my daughter, and I do most things with her around me because that's what she's used to, Allison makes comments about me having to be a married single parent. I've told her to stop many times. I've told Harvey to stop her many times. Nothing works. My husband and I have an agreement that we don't fight with the other side of the family, so I feel bad that I haven't been able to do anything about Allison's comments. Then, 2 days ago, we were all in the dining room, with the exception of my husband, who was finishing up some work. Allison remarked that she hadn't seen him all day, and that it was really rude that he wasn't putting in more effort to spend time with his daughter or the family. I sternly told her that my husband is working to provide for his family, and that not everyone could just take weeks off at a time. Allison then said, "Of course you'd say that. You're basically paid to be his bang nanny. I'm a stay-at-home mother." I can't remember the last time I was so enraged. Before I could even process my own thoughts, I said, Yeah, and you get cheated on for free. Tell me, who got the better deal? Damn, you paid her back for all of the insults in one KO punch. For context, everyone knows about Harvey's indiscretions, but I guess Allison didn't know that we were aware. Allison went silent, then left the table. It's been 2 days and she hasn't said a word to me, and barely anything to anyone else. She won't even make eye contact. Harvey is livid that I brought it up, but I told him he had his chance to make her stop, and he didn't, so I did. He should be the one that's embarrassed. He's the cheater. He's seriously mad that you brought it up? I'd be so ashamed. My dad said she effed around and found out. My mum said she feels bad because Allison is quite obviously humiliated. I said she earned it from how she was always trying to embarrass my husband, but my mum says it's different because no one took her seriously. I think she threw a stone straight through her glass house, but she does seem really miserable, so I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole. Way harsh, but she kind of had it coming. Don't dish it if you can't take it. Also, just don't dish it. Am I the a-hole for telling a woman to leave if she didn't want to have sex? Posted by Blackman Batman. I've been hanging out with this girl, 28 female, for a few weeks now. We met at a club after a friend of mine introduced me to her. After our first night together, we talked about what our arrangement was going to be. I'd just gotten out of a 5-year relationship not long ago, and she recently got divorced. Neither of us is looking for anything serious. We decided to meet only for sex and to keep it strictly to that, no strings attached. We've met up about twice a week for sex, and that's it. A few days ago, I got home from a business event around 9 PM, and I texted her to come over. She came over and we talked for a bit, and then I went in to kiss her, and she moved away. I made a few more advances, and she rejected them all. I asked her what was wrong. She said that I only hit her up when I want sex. I said, yeah, that's exactly what we agreed on. We literally had a conversation saying we'll only see each other for sex, and we both agreed that was the best thing. She said she wanted to be more to me than just a hole to put my dick in, and wanted to have a conversation. We talked for a bit about life, and it was just awkward at that point. It was getting late, so after talking for half an hour, I asked her if sex was on the table at all, and she said no. I told her to leave if she didn't want to do anything, and she kept calling me an a-hole for it until she eventually left. I don't see how I could be the a-hole here. She knew what it was. If she wanted something more, or got attached, she could have just called me and said something, without coming over to my apartment at night. I don't think anyone's really an a-hole here. I think it was just a miscommunication. It doesn't actually sound like she wants a romantic relationship with OP, like he seems to think. It just sounds like she wants to be friends with benefits. A friendship with sex. I mean, she said she doesn't want to be just a hole. She wants conversation. Connection's important for some people. But if he literally just wants to be a dildo, that's fine too. It just sounds like they both had something different in mind when they agreed on sex with no strings. Am I the a-hole for pointing out that my boyfriend wastes a lot of money when he says sexist things? Posted by Kooky Cry 3708. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 2 years. Recently, my beloved Honda Accord died after 320k miles, and I had to immediately get another car as public transport wasn't an option. My boyfriend began showing me BMWs, and we went to see a 2017 BMW 3 Series. It was $26,000, which is wild to me, as I can get a brand new car for that price. I ended up with a Toyota Corolla Cross for $14,000, and he called me boring for it. I don't care all about cars, so I don't mind a boring car. On the other side, he keeps complaining that women spend too much money on clothes. I have the same amount of clothes as him, but he doesn't seem to realize it, and thinks I have way more clothes and spend way more on clothes than him. Because each of my pieces costs a lot more, I buy a lot less of them, but they last for like 5 to 10 years. For example, I have 6 cashmere sweaters that that are over $200 each, but I buy one per year. I bought another one this year, 60% off, and he complained that I spend way too much money on these sweaters. And I challenged him to figure out how much he spends on clothes versus me. We both went through our credit cards and he spent almost double what I did on clothes because he bought 14 pieces while I only bought 3 this year. Because my stuff is really nice, they just last forever. For example, every 3 months, he needs a new pair of jeans because his rips. I've had the same pair for over a decade. Mine cost over $100 and his was $30. He needs new winter boots every year and they're usually leaking water by spring. My boots are 5 years old and are still fine, but his were $50 and mine were over $200. This reminds me of that Terry Pratchett quote, "A man who could afford a good pair of boots would still have dry feet in 10 years, while a man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent hundreds more on boots in the same amount of time and would still have wet feet." He got mad and said each of my clothes are still way more expensive and I spend too much per piece. I spent a long time trying to make the point to him that better stuff is worth the price and pointed out that he spends a lot more on his car. He has an Audi A4 and it's like $900 a month. Well, any car would do, so why is he wasting money on cars, but when I buy a sweater that lasts for years, that's a waste of money? He even admitted, in terms of mileage, a Toyota would probably do more miles over its life than his Audi. He snapped back that he's not okay with a boring car and ignored me for 2 days. I feel like he's okay with spending too much on a car because it's a guy thing, but since clothes are girly, it's a waste. But it pissed him off when he saw that I actually spend less on the girly things than he does. It's crazy that even after showing the receipts to prove that you're overall spending less due to quality, he still insisted that you're wasting money. What the F? I know this sounds kind of minor, but I consider this a bit of a red flag. Shall we say a pink flag? Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.